This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview.
Well, I'm here with Leo Mercier, the co-founder of Flex Labs Incorporated, recently listed on the Aquis Exchange.
That's right.
With the ticker Flex.
Yep.
So, nice to meet you in person. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Yeah,
Good.
Nice to be here, Mark.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So I wonder if we can perhaps start off, maybe let's talk about the AI industry, first of all, because that's something that really, towards the sort of second half of 2023, really seemed to kick off in the market there. You talk about stocks like Nvidia, for example, seeing record, will blow off tops on their share price, record profits, driven, of course, by the sale of GPUs and chips, that kind of thing. Where do you think this came from? Because it almost came left field, out of the blue, I think. Suddenly everyone was talking about AI. What's your take on the industry in general?
Yeah, so really we've been playing with AI for the last kind of 2-3 years. And I think fair to say the breakthrough came with OpenAI releasing 3.5. That's where we started seeing the potential. I think where everyone else started seeing the potential, where it gave AI a purpose.
So this is ChatGPT.
This is ChatGPT, and 3.5 was a step beyond anything we've seen before, and it could, you could chat to it, and it was giving you information back, from the whole internet. It's been trained on. That then, they then released GPT-4, which was then again a huge increase, much better at performing kind of conversation tasks, as well as creative writing. So it's really been focused now on the generative AI is getting better and better. And that's led to this huge surge, or kind of almost the space race of GPUs and chips being needed to power and train these AI models more and more.
But that ChatGPT, that 3.5, obviously ChatGPT's been around for quite a while, but something happened and suddenly everyone was sort of aware of it and pushed for it. Was there a catalyst moment?
Yeah, so what happened there in the industry was they were building 3.5, they then built 4 just as AI models, and they actually built ChatGPT as a way of just publicizing it. OpenAI didn't expect the success ChatGPT to have. But it was suddenly a much easier way of showing the power of AI, and people could understand much better around it through conversation, because it feels like chatting to a friend, chatting to someone who's knowledgeable, and getting answers back on questions. And essentially, to build a more powerful model, or a better model, you need more information, more data going in. To process that data, you need better GPUs, which has then led to Nvidia shares going through the roof. Also, you've seen these public calls for, we'll buy any GPUs from all these different founders, because that's what it needs. It needs more GPUs, more power, more compute.
So it's the big boys that are buying up these.
It's the big boys, and that's where the partnership with Microsoft and OpenAI. OpenAI needed Microsoft to basically provide all that infrastructure. Microsoft has been building their Azure platform for decades, and OpenAI could leapfrog building their own infrastructure by partnering with Microsoft.
Okay. Now, I don't know how old you are. I'm too young to remember the kind of .com. I know about the .com era and all.
I'm too young as well.
You're also too young as well.
I've heard tales of it. It sounded like a good time.
It sounded like a good time, didn't it? Yeah. And
late 90s, everything going in the right direction.
Everything going on with the internet really going mainstream. Some people have kind of perhaps said that AI could be the next kind of big tech boom. You're really working in the space. Do you have any thoughts on where the industry's heading?
Yeah, I think so. The dot-com boom was kind of the rise of the first internet. Pretty basic. Amazon was founded in late 90s as well. We then had Web 2.0, which is kind of MySpace, Facebook. We've now in the last 5 years had the Web 3 boom, and now I really feel that we're at a moment in time where AI is the next kind of fundamental change.
Okay.
And why it's kind of fundamental is it's no longer just disseminating information, which is what all these social media platforms were, what the kind of marketplaces were. We're at a point where AI can kind of think and do, where it's now creating creating content. You can see that in DALL-E 2, where it's building these amazing works of art just for using text prompts. And now what GPT can do, it can think and reason. And what we're doing is making it have actions so that it can take actions as well. And that's where all of this is going, I believe, is that, computers used to be kind of code that was written by humans. Now, there's there is a probability that AI will be able to, build the code that it needs to run itself and keep iterating on it and improve to complete, business functions.
Okay, so it can almost keep writing its own code to improve.
It can constantly learn and improve.
Yeah,
is what I think.
And how, in simple terms, how does AI work? I mean, is it something that is pulling information from everywhere and then sort of amalgamating that, assessing it, and then drawing conclusions and then improving itself? Because there's really any human intervention in much of this?
So how AI works is that it's been trained on huge public data sets, a lot of information that's on websites, a lot of books that it's also been going, that it's been indexed essentially.
Okay.
I know there's a few copyright issues there that's going through the courts, but it's basically taken the whole of humans' creativity and content to date, channeled it through its learnt it, and now it can regurgitate it to some degree, but also creatively think about it as well.
Almost like going to, as you might go to a guru or a subject matter expert who is specialist in one particular area. They've read lots of books, they've done lots of studies. You'd go to them for information or perhaps influencing decisions on something you're after. AI is more like that, but for everything.
At a huge scale.
Yeah.
At a huge scale. AI has all of the world's knowledge almost in it.
Okay.
And then what the kind of end customer experience or user experience is prompting it for their kind of final answer. So you could ask it, any kind of historical fact it could tell you, because it's got it in its learnings. You could do it. People have used it for summarizations, where you can be like, "Can you give me a synopsis of this book?" It's not. It will provide a synopsis of the book. If you ask it again, it will give you a slightly different synopsis, but overall kind of similar. So it's kind of on the fly generating that content for the user's request.
Well, we'll talk about the end use cases in a moment, because of course that's part of what you're working on. Do you think we need to be a little bit scared of AI or excited about it?
I think more excited.
Okay.
I think it's AI. There's a bit of doom and gloom around AI, but I ultimately think that this is just part of innovation. I think AI is going to really help scale kind of the workforce, help in everyday life, and I think where humans have always just adapted as these technical innovations have come on.
Yeah, I think we just adapt, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about Flex then. I mean, if you could perhaps start us off with perhaps the elevator pitch and what you're all about.
Sure. So Flex is a platform that allows you to build and deploy AI bots or agents. And what an AI bot or agent is best think about it like a virtual employee, essentially, where the AI can take on a persona or a job role and then autonomously go and complete it on behalf of the actor, essentially.
Okay.
And what Flex does is kind of takes that complication, makes it really easy to build and deploy for businesses to utilize AI.
Okay, so what could some examples be of some of these bots or agents, as you call them?
Yeah, so kind of a simple example is kind of a sales agent. So we've been working with a few companies where we've been deploying these sales agents on other people's websites, essentially. And what those agents are, they're trained on the company data. They know kind of company policy, know kind of company products as well, and they can recommend bespoke products for that end user.
Right. So if someone was to ordinarily want to go and buy something, I don't know, a piece of media equipment, for example, not sure which one to get, they'd ordinarily phone up the company and talk to someone or chat with them online, for example. This agent is sort of fulfilling that role?
It's fulfilling that role where it's instead of a human, where you phone up and you'd be talking to a human who would then advise you on what to buy, or you go onto chatbots currently in the world, which are hard to use.
Yeah.
They're not great. You instantly know you're chatting to a bot, and they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Where what Flex now allows is all the kind of innovation that's happened in AI models to be deployed onto a website or over an email and converse on behalf of the company.
Okay.
A simple example would be you've had something delivered, there's a problem with it, and you need to get a refund, or you need another one delivered. So you would go online, you'd go through a form potentially, go through a chatbot. You might then have to send an email. And then on the other side of that email there's a human who will check, validate that the request is correct, and then issue the refund. Where that's quite a normal part of business for an e-commerce platform. Where what Flex can do, it can sit on that inbox and manage that inbox flow. Where if you're getting a refund request, it can evaluate, is the refund valid? It can then issue the refund and solve that kind of customer issue for you. If it's something that it can't deal with, it can then escalate that problem up to a person who can then take over. What Flex can do, a Flex agent can do, is basically we can train it on to become an employee of that company.
Okay.
And it can act with all the knowledge of the company, and it knows what systems the companies use, what policies they have, what products they sell, and that agent can then within parameters that are set, can do those actions. So it could be to email someone else, it could be to issue the refund, it could be look up what order, what happened to their order, and troubleshoot it for you.
Okay. So you call these are Flex, like Flex agents, for example, and that's an example there of a salesperson.
Yeah.
I mean, are you limited in any of the scopes or the bots that you can create here, or is there an area perhaps you're specifically focusing on to get started, or what's the kind of development of these different bots that you might offer to your customers?
Yeah, so sales is the first one of the first versions we're offering.
Okay.
It's what excites us with the sales agent is that it has potential to be on the kind of revenue generating side.
Sure.
So if we can show traction through X amount of products have been sold using a Flex bot. So that's kind of one of the main areas. But the other areas is that companies can come to us and we can build bespoke AI agents for them.
Okay.
One of the companies we're working with is in the real estate, and they've established that there's a lot of human interaction needed to get someone to view a property, and a lot of issues around that, which is you go on Zoopla, Rightmove, they will get a lead in from those platforms. The estate agent that has to phone up, typically they're phoning up between 9 and 5, which is the working hour of someone else, and there's a mismatch of just chasing someone to actually get a viewing appointment. In partnership, we've basically built an estate agent AI bot or agent, and called Hannah, and Hannah can go and converse with the person that's come on from Zoopla and Rightmove. She can then establish how interested they are, what times would suit the person to view. She also knows from the seller's point of view when they'll be in or when availability is. So it's kind of narrowing down to a viewing, and then that viewing is then handled via an agent. A real human agent, and then past that, Hannah will then follow up, getting feedback on the property, saying, have you got any questions, and then would you like to make an offer?
Sure.
And so
this would be email, would it, or
Hannah's over email, and you can it brings you through the sales cycle, which normally would be handled by a real estate agent, right up to the point of making an offer.
Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. So that's something you're working on at the moment, then.
Yes.
It's actually a specific project.
That's specifically with this company, and we've actually had our first offer accepted through using Hannah.
Oh, really?
So we're super exciting, and kind of testament that this is all possible. Where the human element of the estate agent had no interaction with the person who was viewing the property. And only their first port of call was the person phoning them up to make the offer.
Okay.
So for that, we've saved huge amounts of time with the estate agent doing doing the back and forth, doing the kind of getting the viewing to actually just go straight to the offer. So we've scaled that person's time.
Well, that's a very good real world example. I wonder, of course, because the company is listed on the stock exchange, but only fairly recently. How long has the company, if you talk about the roots of the company, how long has it been established for? And because, getting a bespoke sale there with this estate agent, you can't just do that really out the door effectively. It might have taken some time, I guess, to work up to that. So where's the company where's its roots come from? And how long have you been developing the technology?
Yeah, so the beginning of last year, we've been working on Flex.
So beginning of 20.
So we've had we saw the opportunity with what was happening again with OpenAI and the other models that have come on board. But we saw that the kind of main problem with the products that were coming out were it was all chat. It was all chat based, but it was all kind of information in, information out, not actually doing anything or progressing anything to some kind of financial benefit. And we saw that we could give the AI personality. So that's what we really were kind of first experimenting with, was like, could an AI take on a personality and act as if it was someone? Yeah. So that in the example of Hannah, we gave the personality of what Hannah should be. In this case, she was a London estate agent. She was in her mid-30s.
Okay.
We personified her.
Okay.
And that's what we were doing kind of at the beginning. Working on how could we personify characters? Could we get them to mimic certain character traits? And then that kind of worked its way into what we are actually building is this is autonomous agents. If we can connect these agents to the right other software via APIs and other external connectors, we saw that the AI could then take in information, understand what the kind of customer or user was asking them, and then take action on it.
So did you start working on Hannah almost immediately then?
No, not Hannah immediately. There was a few. We didn't set out to build a real estate agent. We started off actually in an area where we were looking at where we saw that there was a kind of recruitment opportunity where we've all been running. Well, we've run a few businesses in my past, and one of the big bottlenecks is kind of human, finding a great team, vetting the person and getting them through the recruitment hurdles. So where this kind of started was, could we use it as a first? Could we create an agent that could interview on behalf of us, and kind of go through the first kind of screening of that, to kind of take out the human of the the first screening.
That first kind of screening section. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where it started, was actually, could we filter out candidates and use this as an interview technique? So you'd be speaking to an agent, again over chat. They could ask you a series of questions about the company, why you wanted to join the company. And then from our side, we would just get a summary back we could see the whole conversation, but also for us, it was like, could you score this? Could you get a summary back? And that's where the kind of shift came from. Okay, this is actually performing a job role. It's like part of our HR functionality now. And then that's where we kind of kept taking it further into, okay, that's good for cost saving, but how do we make it revenue generating is what we're thinking.
Okay. So are you still running that side of the business as well, the interview?
Yes, yeah, we've still got that as a bot that you can deploy.
As a bot you can
Flex.
deploy. I mean, how many bots do you have?
Currently there's five. Five bots.
Okay.
We've got a kind of beautician and healthcare bot.
Okay.
You can kind of look at your kind of skincare routine.
Okay.
And make personal recommendations on that. So where that's useful is the example is, if you're an e-commerce platform or you run an e-commerce shop, could you upsell your customers? Could you get better tailored recommendations before? Traditionally that'd be over email or going in store to like a Boots and speaking to a beautician. So that's one area that we're looking at. There's the sales agents, and there's the kind of recruitment screening. The other one is basically what we're using to build Flex as well. We're using AI to develop part of the software itself.
Right, so app development.
So this the last one is kind of app development.
App development. Okay.
So it's an agent where you can go in, so you can create a landing page, you can create a newsletter, and it will code for you. So you're using simple like text-based prompts. So simple as I need to create a landing page for Flex to invite people to my webinar. Okay. You would converse with the bot like that. It would then generate the code and deploy it for you.
Okay. Almost like web, not as far-fetched as web design, is it? Or not?
Yeah, it's web design.
Right.
For that one. So we're seeing the opportunity there is a lot of small to medium businesses have to put out content online. It's expensive to use a developer. There's Webflow, which has come on, which has made it a lot simpler, but you're still having to interact with code when you want to like embed a form and other things like that. Where what our developer bot can do is can do that. Can also troubleshoot code for you. If you're trying to embed Google Analytics into a website, it can answer all those questions for you and give you the code snippets back.
Right. Okay. And are they all pretty much fully developed, or are you still in that process?
No, they're all fully developed,
ready to go
on our platform, ready to go.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what kind of Flex is. Flex is a platform where you can build and customize your own bots, but you also can take the off-the-shelf bots, and it should feel like hiring an employee almost. There is a kind of SaaS play here where you'll be X amount per month to get various capabilities, but then also where this gets kind of more interesting is what we think kind of defines the kind of AI agent is that we've proven that it can do an employee's role or certain skills of an employee. So it opens us up to actually being able to charge more in line with what an employee's salary is.
Right.
So somewhere in between where this agent can now fully kind of work for you, and that we'll be able to either work, have a percentage of revenue share of sales come in. So I said we've got our first offer on a property. Property it average price in London or the UK is like 300,000. I think much higher in London. But typically that's like a 1 to 2.5% for a real estate agent. So numbers get interesting very fast if once we deploy them in more areas.
I mean, what is your revenue model looking like? I mean, different products here, clearly different use factors. If you're integrating into an estate agent, that's one thing that's probably quite a bespoke negotiation that you have with that estate agent to deploy within their company. Maybe it's that you take a salary if you like as an employee, or it's a commission based. But then the app development, you could be talking to anyone really, who wants a sort of landing page, like you say, or a small website. So how are you structuring the kind of revenue? Is it quite bespoke per bot or per customer?
Yeah, so it's quite bespoke per bot and customer.
Okay,
I think so on all the sales ones, like it's going to be percentage based of the sales.
On the sales, it'll be percentage based.
And then on the other bots, it's going to be pay per use. So how many interactions are the other bots having?
Okay.
And
so, for example, I don't know. Let's just take a skincare one, for example. So you'd look to get into a beautician or something like that. A company could be a small shop on the street or a larger firm. You'd look to what license per kind of inquiry or something, or
so per inquiry you'd get billed. If it was a beautician and it was doing product recommendations, we'd try and be part of that transaction as well.
Okay.
So that's where we'd fill into the revenue share model.
Okay.
And then taking that a step further is we're going to have essentially our virtual team of employees. We're going to put them to work itself. So we're no longer we can then perform actions ourselves, and these agents will be able to be revenue generating with small marginal cost.
Yeah. Okay. And then you could take a share of that.
Exactly. Well, anything that they're producing is then 100% profit back to us.
Okay. And so talking about customers, then at the minute, have you just got the sort of estate agent?
So we're live with the estate agent.
Yep.
We've got the beautician also live.
Okay.
We're deployed on a handful of websites as a chat bot that you'll normally see,
okay,
which is doing simple Q&A also asking, validating leads, and then actually sending those to the companies.
Okay. So you're on the stock exchange. You've come on recently. Of course, now you've got access to the capital markets, the money that offers. What do what's your offer to? Well, I think first of all for shareholders or people considering investing, but what do you hope to achieve by being on the markets here? I mean, in terms of, let's say, development plans or key milestones that you want to achieve, that perhaps having access to the funding, it will enable you to achieve perhaps that a little bit quicker.
Yeah, so I think we listed in December. I had a good reaction to our IPO, and in Q1 we're setting out to get our first clients on board, which we've already proved early, and then we're going to be cash positive. Q1, Q2. And we now know that there's a need and requirement in these areas, and we're going to kind of repeat that and kind of grow on that with I think we've set out a target of getting five more companies on board to use it in Q1. That was in our prospectus. We're on track to do that, and then there's 10 in Q2, and then we're kind of move. Once we've proven all of that out, we'll be in kind of the scale out phase. We've already achieved our first large transaction sale through Hammer. We need to do that a few more times, essentially. And develop the platform a little bit further in terms of more capabilities in its self-servability. And then the kind of focus will be on sales. How do we get more customers using the platform? How do we entice our businesses to build on the Flex platform and go from there? Okay,
great. And how are you actually getting these sales in? Is it through knocking on doors, so to speak? Yeah.
Well, we're using our own agents. As we've proofs in the pudding. So we've got our autonomous agents going out, basically warming up leads, creating leads for us to then follow up
on. Yeah. Okay. And how's that?
Good. Good. It's growing.
Okay.
And so I think there's a huge opportunity for businesses. A lot of businesses are kind of struggling with they've seen AI in the news, they don't know how to kind of apply it to their own business. They still think it's quite intangible and far away. Where I think there's the opportunity is now. What Flex can do is we can show them. We're a team of engineers and prompt engineers, so we can show them how they can use AI using our platform. The benefit of AI, it doesn't get tired. It can do these tasks again and again. And so we're seeing a higher success rate in kind of emails opened from our sales agents than you normally would, because they're more bespoke. Our agents are looking at LinkedIn, making it relevant, seeing what the opportunities are for that business to using AI, and then actually almost giving a small perspective and business plan of how you could use it. All in that kind of initial couple of emails.
Okay. Well, just a final thought then, perhaps on perhaps the investment case, but also the people within the business. Are you a shareholder in the company?
I am. Yeah, I'm a shareholder. So I'm the co-founder alongside Mike Edwards. So my background is kind of 15 years in the technology space.
Okay.
Built multiple companies in the space. I've had one private exit, and I've taken 3 other companies public.
Oh, right.
So for the last 2 years, we've been in the public market space.
Okay.
It's hugely exciting. And then my co-founder, Mike Edwards, has an amazing track record. In 2017, he took Argo blockchain public, and that's now was valued at over $1 billion. Hugely exciting team that we're working with to execute now on AI agents.
So you're definitely not new to the sort of public market space then? You've taken companies public before.
I've done this a few times.
What would you want to achieve? I mean, if you're the sort of, for yourself, presumably, as a shareholder, but also to other shareholders, what would you like to achieve for them?
Yeah, I think this is, as I said at the beginning of the interview, my talk was this is a fundamental change in technology. We're now, humans no longer need to be fully in the loop of the task and work they're doing. Humans will adapt, but a lot of the kind of more junior level job roles will be able to be repeated through AI. And platforms like Flex will be enabling that. I think from the 3 revenue streams or monetization strategies we have, they're really exciting. For a SaaS play, recurring revenue always key, but also where we try to move away from the kind of hundreds of pounds into the kind of the thousands of pounds employee monetization strategy is interesting. That's not been done before. That people will need to get their heads around it first. But I feel it will be the norm to have these virtual AI workers as part of everyday business, and that's what Flex will allow. So huge potential, huge growth. So it's an exciting time.
Well, thank you very much for introducing the company to us and all the talk about AI and the different products, or the Flex agents that you call them, Flex bots. Looking forward to seeing how it all goes. But thank you very much, Leo Mercier, the co-founder of Flex Labs. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Good to be here.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.